Got to build that nest egg in the nest on Film Threat Reviews. Hi, I'm Alan Ning. I'm with Zorianna Kit, and today we are reviewing The Nest. Before we begin, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below on what you thought of the film. Rory, an ambitious entrepreneur and former commodities broker, persuades his American wife and children to leave the comforts of suburban America to rejoin his native England during the 1980s. Written and directed by Durkin, stars Jude, Carrie Coon, Charlie Shotwell, and Oona, Roche. What did you think of The Nest?
Oh gosh, I loved this movie. I know I've heard complaints about some people finding it a little bit slow. I didn't find this slow at all.
There's a definite slow pace to it, but I think that's we need to kind of get off of this whole action constantly.
Yeah, exactly.
You're building that suspense, and you're building. I mean, and also it's fairly indicative of how at least I understand England, of being a much slower pace than America.
I just felt that it was just this slow burn, slow unraveling of a family. And it really took its time in doing that. The same director who directed The Nest did this Sundance hit years ago called Martha, Marcy, May, Maylene, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's Elizabeth Olsen. It was one of her breakout roles at the time. I loved that movie. That movie was fantastic, very character driven. And this film also super character driven. Jude, Carrie Coon. Oh my gosh, the performances here. I mean, Jude, I think he delivers some of his best work in this movie. I'm not familiar with Carrie's work. I know she does a lot of TV and stuff that I've never seen her in, but she was fantastic.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I saw The Nest at Sundance this year.
Oh.
Yeah, I actually had Sundance this year.
This seems like so far away, so long ago.
It was, but there was so they come out and start doing the Q&A, and one of the audience members said, basically asked Jude, basically saying, so did you pattern your character after Willie Loman in Death of a Salesman? And it was at that moment Jude Law's eyes lit up and said, wow, that's a really good observation, and basically said, I'm going to steal that. I mean, the story of The Nest is such gold, and it just deals with simple subject of a man who's from England, lives in America, adopts American ways, but is still that homesick, and goes back home and tries to recreate the supposed success he had in the United States. But you really find out he's going back for a different reason.
Well, yes, it just feels like it appears now that he's probably burned all his bridges in the US and has to uproot his family because he wants to start over. I mean, this guy's a classic narcissist. Mm-hmm. Whenever you are exposed or found out, you pack up your bags and you start fresh somewhere else where you can reinvent yourself. And so he literally forces his family to go to the UK, and he can this facade of like everything is for show. He can't afford any of the stuff that's in his lifestyle: the house, the horse, the stables, the private school, the car, anything and everything. None of it is something that he can afford. And he keeps telling his family, everything's fine, we're good. The next deal, gonna make the money. And you know that something's terribly wrong. His wife knows that there's something terribly wrong, but she's trying to be supportive and she wants to believe in her husband. And everything just spirals, just gets worse and worse and worse. The only thing I didn't like the ending. It just sucked.
I mean, okay, so let me address it this way. First, Carrie Coon, she's really good in this, and not only that, her character is really good because she's not just the doting wife going along with it. She sees what's happening, and she's putting money aside to protect her and her family at this point. Yeah. But also, you talk about the ending. It's one of those axioms in film that the happier the family is at the beginning of the film, the bigger the crash it is at the end of the film. And that's what they set up here, is that this is just a really loving, warm family. and the ending kind of puts a button and a bow on that idea, and I think that's why I like that ending.
I just sort of felt like they ran out of film and things just abruptly stopped. Like, I was like, wait, but I need to see more. Like, I need to see how they deal with the ramification of Jude Law's, actions. And this man is he's responsible for the downfall of his family. I mean, he's a terrible guy. But he's terrible not because he's evil or vindictive or just like a bad seed. He's a terrible person because he's got unresolved childhood trauma that fuels his behavior of having to show and prove that he is special and smart and successful and amazing. And it's tragic. You look at him and you feel sorry for him, and at the same time you're just disgusted that he really doesn't care about his family. He's placing himself and his needs first, which is outward appearance. I know somebody exactly like that. Exactly like that.
Well, it's not me.
I mean, this is it was like watching somebody I knew on screen here. I mean, it was incredible. He really captured this type of person, and they exist. They exist, and they're really horrible people.
I saw him in a slightly different way as well. I mean, you're right in your assessment of him, but also there's this idea of, if you believe it and if you dream it and if you have a passion for it, you're going to succeed. And clearly, and
please, no.
And it gets to the point where you just talk yourself into it, and you make decisions based on the fact that success is just around the corner. So I could spend my investment now, because right around the corner is the deal. And when that deal doesn't come through, what do you do? And that's where the tailspin begins. For me, that's just this movie. The story and the characters are just so great in this movie. So
there's also a little bait and switch where when they moved to their house in the UK, it's this dark, foreboding house. And there were a few times where I kind of thought the house was haunted. And I thought, okay, wait, is this are there horror elements here? And then nothing ever materialized from that. It was almost like a little trick, but it also could be a metaphor of this downward spiral that he's taking his family through, and without their permission. They're not operating as a family unit. They're operating by a man who is chasing something that obviously is never going to happen.
They're in his wake. They're just kind of waiting along. See his ultimate destruction. All right. So based on the fact that you love the story, you love the acting, the dark ending, you gave it, I'm going to say, a 9. Yeah,
I did. And for you, I think you also liked it the same. So you probably gave it a 9, maybe 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5, definitely. It's a dark story, which may turn people off, but it's a really good one, and I was suggesting it. All right. Well, visit filmthreat.com for more news and reviews. And with that, let's get out of here.